take a long nap starting at Thanksgiving. It's like I'm sitting across from him, and it's like listening to TV.
I haven't had a chance to talk to you about. We got to talk about that. I haven't yet filled me in. How about that?
That is nice. That is nice. Heavy.
Yeah, how about that?
Yeah.
Let's get you a message that we're going to play. Okay. Yeah, he wanted it so bad. I was going to show you, Terry. Look, we got Willie Roquefort, Willie, of course, Hampton, and Cliff. So we got all those guys here.
Yeah, you didn't get that photo to Cliff with Terry sitting by that award.
That's me right there.
I know.
That wouldn't happen today.
Exactly.
Yeah, they would, yeah.
Yeah. I can remember watching that live, but I know. Old Lambert calls it Cliff.
I know. It did. That was something. It was something. We'll get started at 45.
Yeah.
I just want to give him yours.
Yeah.
You see him all the time I got here?
That's why I was in the back. I was talking to Anthony. I haven't talked to Joe yet.
So you recognize the mom, the dad, the AD, and Anthony?
Anthony was in.
No, we don't have time for that.
No.
Shoot you all of them stand here. Check. 1, 2. Check. 1, 2. Can Hildebrand? Yeah, listen, I gotta see that. I gotta see that big old head turn around back here in the back. Need some more juice. We good over here. Good back in the back. We good? Yes, that's right. All right, everybody. Man, I told Terry. I said, Terry, you're gonna walk into just a beehive of energy, because not only are you here today, but how about them hogs? Woo! Wow. I told Terry we've been waiting so long to have a meeting like this. So we've been doing the club for about 17 years and hadn't had a win like that. And Terry actually got a chance to see some of the game, and he was very impressed with the Razorbacks. But we're in for a treat today. Vince Young last week, what a class act Vince Young was. Really impressed with him. Yeah, let's give a round of applause for Vince. Of course, Terry's going to be off the chart today. Y'all are in for a treat. And, of course, next weekend we get D-Mac, Darren McFadden here. So I look forward to having him. Gary, will you come up and lead us in a word of prayer, please?
I almost forgot. Great. Let's pray, please. Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for the beautiful day and the great opportunity you've given us today to enjoy each other's company, hear a great speaker. Just enjoy the day, Lord. We thank you for all the many blessings that you give us, the way that you are so good to each one of us. Get us through the great times, get us through the difficult times. Lord, use us today in your service. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thanks, Gary. I believe this is a record turnout for this room since we moved to this hotel, and obviously we owe that to Terry Bradshaw. You could be in for, yeah, obviously, that's right. Dang straight. You're in for such a treat, because I tell you, I told Terry, I said, as part of my research here to do Q&A, I do extensive research. And I said, last week, I watched all 10 episodes of the Bradshaw Bunch. That's 5 hours in a row. I'm your number one fan now, Terry. Listen, I'm ready for season 2 in October.
Coming out October 6th.
So, Hey, listen, this guy didn't have to be here. Obviously, we'll tell why he's here. One of the reasons is his connection with his Dr. Lowry Barnes, who's here today, unbelievably, not in the surgery, Lowry, which is great. But remind everybody, mute your phones if you can. If you have somebody that can't be here, remember they can go to the Touchdown Club Facebook page. We're streaming it there, or lrtouchdown.com. If you want to be able to see it there, if you've got somebody anywhere in the country or in the world can see that. Do want to thank our sponsors real quick. 1037 The Buzz. Terry had been on The Buzz, I guess, about a month ago, 2 months ago, promoting your new bourbon. So you got a second go around. We appreciate The Buzz being a part of our meetings every week. The Hatcher Agency, the helm of outrageous service. I don't think Greg is here today. We appreciate him supporting the club. Popeye was great. He had to do some emergency help last week with Vince Young, so we appreciate them. War Memorial Stadium, been around since 1948. Can't wait for October 23rd versus UAPB, the Grand Old Lady. Arkansas Urology. Remember, men, this is Prostate Cancer Awareness Month, so get your checks this month. Now, get your checkups. Don't put it off. All right, it'll save your life. So don't forget that. But we appreciate Arkansas Urology being a sponsor. Pulaski County Farm Bureau, Todd Dennis, Stephen Reichard. Give those guys a chance to quote you some business. They're good people. They've been supporters of the club. Pulaski County Farm Bureau, good people. Advantage Service Company, one call does it all. HVAC, electric, plumbing, they do it. They're a great new sponsor. I want to thank Mike McClellan and Kevin Brooks for being a part of the Touchdown Club this year. Dairy Queen, I know you mentioned last week, they're just a few days away from Arkadelphia. Rex will be a regular customer over there on the weekend. So that's our 11th store. They're really growing here in Arkansas. We appreciate DQ's support of the Touchdown Club. Simmons Bank Arena, for all you country fans, George Strait coming back to Simmons Bank Arena. He's got all the records, Terry, for attendance at Simmons Bank Arena, George Strait does. So he's coming back March 18th. Tickets go on sale this Friday at 10. And tickets aren't cheap. Tickets aren't cheap. So anyway, so great to have George back. Big Red Stores. Where's my Big Red gang at? Where are they at? Right here. Store number 45. We create not 43, but 45. Fastest growing convenience store chain in America. And you got Grant Morgan. You guys see where Grant Morgan now is on the team of Big Red. What a great kid to have as an NIL deal. So great to have Big Red Stores involved with us. And speaking of NIL deals, our friend Judy Henry with Wright, Lindsay, and Jennings, you know, they have a sports law division. And they've got a new 30-second spot that just came out promoting their NIL deals, or the opportunity to do NIL deals with local businesses, statewide business, whoever, and college athletes. If you have that ready to go, Matt, let's take a look. How about that? Wow, slick. Very slick. Terry, it ain't like the old days back at Woodlawn High School and Louisiana Tech, where you're not getting deals with car dealerships, or were you back then? He said he did get free cars. He did, okay. But talk with Judy Wright, Lindsay, and Jennings if you have some ideas for college athletes and branding. Crane Automotive, the largest dealer group in Arkansas, 17 automotive dealerships, 3 RV dealerships, power sports dealerships, 1,000 Arkansans employed by the Crane Automotive Group. And great to see Larry Crane right here on front. So appreciate all you guys always being here each week. Larry, great to have you here today. The Democrat Gazette, don't forget you get your digital subscription today. Arkansas Online, if you want to get the best coverage. It even had this weekend, they had in there about my streak being broken. 97 straight games broken, but of all the games to miss, at least we won, at least we dominated. So do want to thank Amanda Copley for sponsoring the Touchdown Club for so many years. We appreciate you. The Democrat Gazette, check them out today. Of course, Simmons Bank. I told Terry, we've got the best presenting sponsor in America. George Macris is here today. We don't get George all the time. Chris White, we don't get Chris all the time. Great to have both of you here. We appreciate you. We couldn't do what we do without you. Let's give a big round of applause for Simmons and all of our great sponsors. I want to thank Brent Bailey and Lauren Schlecht, did a great job here at the Doubletree. We appreciate you guys. Matt Johnson back there, M&M Productions, killing it today. Dwayne Duncan is always taking photos. Took a photo of Terry here with the Cliff Harris Award. I think there's a good chance we'll hear from Cliff a little bit later. RJ Hawk handling social media. Meredith Scott Hale from CareLink also helping with social media. We appreciate them. Chopper Ward handling our website. and an amazing Touchdown Club volunteer team, Terry. We got the best in America. Got the best volunteer squad in America. If you would, please stand all of our volunteers, men and women, every week. Come in, stand up. Let's give them a round of applause. Where are they at? Where are they at? Come on, stand up, ladies and gentlemen. And, of course, led by Debbie Wyman. We couldn't do it without her leadership. And I tell you, to be able to get this many people in this room and everybody, I had no idea how many people were Steelers fans, Terry, and Terry Bradshaw fans. It's unbelievable. I mean, it is around the world. It is. Is your wife watching back home? No, maybe not? No. She's watching Costa. Whoa. That needs to be in an episode coming up. All right. For our second All-Arkansas Preps Player of the Week, RJ, we come up and we've got another impressive honoree.
Thank you, David. You know, last week I told you guys about a very impressive athlete that ran and ran and ran and ran. Well, this week our athlete comes from Pulaski Academy. Joe, you can go ahead and make your way up. On September the 3rd against Madison Ridgeway Academy, listen to these numbers. He ran for 16 carries, 197 yards, 4 touchdowns, with a long of 94. But not only did he just run, he also caught the football as well. 12 receptions, 171 yards, a touchdown with a long of 55. He totaled 368 yards for Pulaski Academy as they beat Madison Ridgeway Academy. Real quick before we bring him up, his entire coaching staff is here. So if you are a coach of Pulaski Academy, if you would please stand up right now. Madison Taylor, Adam Thrash, Jared Barnhill, and Dirk Tanner. His head coach, Anthony Lucas, is here. His mom, Pamela Hyman, and Rod Hyman. Your All-Arkansas Preps Player of the Week, Joe Hyman.
All right, for our weekend recap, it should start off with a bang. Give it up for Rex Nelson, everybody.
Thanks, David. This should be fun. You know, I did speak to a group of visitors who were in the state on Friday night from Texas. They were going to the game the next day. And I tried to explain to them why this rivalry means so much more to us than it does to them. I mean, I explained the feeling of being the only out-of-Texas school in the Southwest Conference for all of those decades. I explained the psychological scars, the big shootout of 1969 left on some of us of a certain age. 52 years later, I'm not over it yet. And I tried to explain to them, you're this big hulking monster and we're next door. I mean, Louisiana's a little bigger than some of us, but Terry, you understand that a little bit with Texas shadowing over you. In fact, when Mike Foster was governor of Louisiana, I was with him once, and he said, you know what's significant about the Sabine River? And I said, what? And he said, it separates the coon asses from the jackasses. And you might remember that one and use it for Louisiana folks. But finally, trying to explain Arkansas to Texas, I just finally said, okay, use this analogy. You're Russia, we're the Ukraine. Well, guess what? The Ukraine won the war, and they did it big. How about the fact that Arkansas now has won 5 of the past 7 games between these two schools? And it's not often at this stage that I quote Brett Bielema, but I will quote Coach B. It was borderline erotic, I got to tell you. It really was. Arkansas 40, Texas 21. Hogs lead 16-0 at the half. They never look back. Only 2 other times had Arkansas scored more than 40 points against Texas, 1981 and 1938. No one had held Texas scoreless in the first half since 2015. So it had been 6 years from that. K.J. Jefferson completes 73.7% of his passes. The Hogs had 3 running backs with 65 or more yards for the first time since 2007. Arkansas outgains Texas. Listen how one-sided this was. 471 to 256. 4 Arkansas tailbacks scored touchdowns. I could go on all day with this, but we've got a speaker. But how about them Hogs? Arkansas 40, Texas 21. In a shootout at Jonesboro, Arkansas State falls just short, losing to Memphis 55-50. There were almost 1,300 yards of offense in that game. 681 for ASU, evenly divided, 680 for Memphis. A true freshman quarterback from Memphis completed 22 of 33 passes, 417 yards. Arkansas State scores the final 14 points, score with 5:01 left, score with 1:52 left, almost came back, but not quite. Memphis now 2-0, Red Wolves are 1-1, and going to Washington this week. UCA falls to 0-2, 43-34 to Bobby Petrino's Missouri State Bears at Springfield. 40 points scored in the fourth quarter of that game. Lead changes hand 4 times. UCA falls despite outgaining Missouri State, 453 to 374. Braylon Smith throwing for 332 yards in the losing cause for UCA. On to the Great American Conference. You'll remember we told you last week Arkansas schools went 5-1 against Oklahoma schools in the GAC. Well, on Saturday it was just 3-3. The big shocker was nationally ranked Harding losing 32-31 at Southeastern Oklahoma. Southeastern scores with just 46 seconds left in that game. They go for 2. They get it. They get the win. Harding loses despite rushing for 336 yards. UAM drops to 1-1, a 45-20 loss to Gary's Oklahoma Baptist. That's the most talented of the Oklahoma teams. Oklahoma Baptist led that one 35-0 at the half. Arkansas Tech falls to 0-2 with a 13-10 loss at East Central Oklahoma. It was 6-3 East Central at halftime as both teams struggled on offense. Now, the winners are all 2-0 now. They were Ouachita, Henderson, and Southern Arkansas. Ouachita, now, one thing I like about our guest, he's from North Louisiana. He knows how to pronounce it right? Probably even spell it if he had to. Don't push my luck here, huh? All right. Ouachita has now won 29 consecutive conference games dating back to 2017. 41-3 win at Southern Nazarene. Ouachita outgained Southern 388-35. They allowed only 35 yards of total offense for their opponent and held the ball for 39-42 of that game. Ouachita moves up to number 9 in the country, so they're in the top 10 now in Division II. Henderson in the top 25. They move up to number 25. They blow out Northwestern Oklahoma 55-7, scoring 21 points in the first 10 minutes of the third quarter. Adam Morse, you're going to be hearing that name a lot. Good quarterback, 19 of 32 passing, 305 yards and 2 TDs. Southern Arkansas, 42-27 over Southwestern Oklahoma. 21 unanswered points in the fourth quarter. Quarterback Hayden Mallory, another good quarterback, 25 of 35 passing, 266 yards and 4 TDs. Now, on to the SEC. Number 1, Alabama beats Mercer 48-14. Bryce Young, 19 of 27 passing, 227 yards and 3 TDs for the Crimson Tide. I feel like I'm doing one of your breaks on Sunday, Terry. I'm going through these so fast. Number 2, Georgia beat UAB 56-7. Stetson Bennett, I love that name, tied a school record with 5 touchdown passes for the Bulldogs. Florida beat South Florida 42-20. 2 quarterbacks continue to share playing time for the Gators. Texas A&M barely survives, 10-7 at Colorado. Trailed the whole game and then finally went ahead with a touchdown with 2:41 remaining. Ole Miss beats Austin Peay 54-17 as Matt Corral throws for 5 touchdowns. Auburn beats Alabama State 62-0, scoring 35 of those points in the third quarter. In the SEC opener, only conference game of the day, Kentucky outlasts Missouri 35-28. Chris Rodriguez rushes for 207 yards. LSU beats McNeese State 34-7 as Max Johnson threw for 161 yards and 3 touchdowns, bouncing back from that opening loss to UCLA. And you know what Coach Orgeron had to say about that, Terry? He said, football. And he can translate that again because he's from Louisiana. So he will translate that for us later. Like those Coach O quotes anytime. He's been here before. Pittsburgh dropped Tennessee to 1-1, 41-34. Volunteers lost quarterback Joe Milton to a leg injury. Mississippi State 2-0 following a 24-10 win over North Carolina State. And South Carolina had to rally from 14 down to beat East Carolina 2017. The winning field goal comes with no time left on the clock. All right, this week in the SEC. Alabama at Florida. That should be fun. Auburn at Penn State. South Carolina at Georgia. UT Chattanooga at Kentucky. Central Michigan at LSU. Tulane at Ole Miss. Mississippi State at Memphis. Southeast Missouri at Missouri. Tennessee Tech at Tennessee. New Mexico at Texas A&M. Stanford at Vanderbilt in the Brain Bowl. Wonder what the average ACT will be out there for those starters. The football's not good, but they're talking algorithms in the huddle, I can assure you. All right, here in the state, we got Georgia State at Arkansas, 3 o'clock. It doesn't matter if it's hot, you'll be there, I'm sure. Donald W. Reynolds Stadium, if you're not, other good games. UAPB at UCA, Arkansas Tech at Ouachita, Harding at Southern Arkansas, Henderson at UAM. That means, David, there are games in Fayetteville, Conway, Arkadelphia, Magnolia, Monticello. No excuse whatsoever. Get out and see a college football game on Saturday. Thanks, everybody.
Wow. Rex was sweating more than me. Get him a napkin. Get him a hanky. Woo! That's the energy we have here, Terry. I told him about that. Of course, you know, if you watch Terry always has great energy. And before we bring him up, and what a fantastic crowd this is. You know, we were debating on our show today where Terry ranks in terms of star power of all the names we've had here. And I said, he's number one. I said, you know, we've had Mike Ditka, had Mean Joe Green, had Roger Staubach, but nobody that I've seen that I'll be walking down the street and it'll be, let's just say some female comes up to me. I hear Terry Bradshaw's coming to speak. Chicks dig me, Terry said. Because you're right. Listen, they don't care you play football. They're not watching you on Sunday, Terry. He's one of the most fascinating guys truly that we've ever had here, and so we're so grateful to have him. And what's great about this, Terry, is that over the last 2-3 weeks or a month, once we made the announcement, I started getting pictures of you with you know, kids, you know, with their jerseys, Bradshaw jerseys, and hey, even though I live in Little Rock, I met Terry in wherever. And it was one after the next. And it's amazing, you know, the trail of kindness that you've shown so many people with autographs. Matter of fact, one of them has actually still had the pen and the paper from 1979. No joke. Had it in glass. And so what a great compliment to you. And there's a really cool deal. Kevin Scanlon. Where's Kevin? So Kevin was a star Razorback for us, Terry, back in the day. Played for Lou Holtz. So, yeah, let's get it for Kevin. From Beaver Falls. So they wouldn't let him play freshman and sophomore football at Beaver Falls, so he went to Freedom High School and played for your brother-in-law, Coach Babish. Bob Babish. And you used to come down, it was in 1972, so you'd only been in the league two years. You came and actually helped him with practice a couple times with him. And he still remembers to this day your kindness to help him. How about that? Give it up for that. How about that? And obviously it worked. He was a star quarterback for the Razorbacks, so whatever you taught him certainly worked. But he still appreciated that kindness, and you made a quote in the newspaper back then about that. Also, too, we wouldn't have Terry if it weren't for his doctor, Lowry Barnes. And Lowry's down here front, and most of you know that he is the professor and chair of UMS Department of Orthopedic Surgery, and we'll give Terry a chance to say something about him. But you know, yes, he will. So I can't believe you're even out of surgery. First of all, matter of fact, Terry told me you're walking in, you were talking to him while you're getting ready to do surgery, and it was before you started though. It was not during the surgery, and yes, to make sure to clarify that. But anytime James Andrews refers you to another doctor, that says something about the kind of doctor you are. And you had told me back in 2016 that you had done Terry's knee. So Terry, we've been talking about this for years, maybe trying to see if we could get you here. And he was nice enough to ask you, and you were nice enough as a favor to him to do that. So I do want to recognize, let's give it up for Lowry Barnes right now, everybody. Also a proud supporter of the Razorbacks, too. Now the official sponsor, sports medicine team of the Arkansas Razorbacks. Your son Chase is here, as well as son-in-law Andrew McCarty. We appreciate you bringing them as well. And you know what? I wish we could. There's so many people that want an autograph, so many people, and Terry would love to do that. But actually, Terry, after the meeting, has to immediately get to go with doctor. I'm not even taking him back. He's going to go to the clinic and get his other knee looked at. But anyway, the main thing is he's here today, and you are going to be fascinated when we dive into all the things that is Terry Bradshaw. And like I said, the biggest thing I've learned about Terry after watching that Bradshaw bunch is that he's a good person. Ultimately, he's a good person. Great athlete, great superstar on TV and all that, but he's a good guy. He's a good guy. So I want you to watch this introduction by Steve Sullivan. So be quiet at the beginning, because this is not the normal start for our introduction. So Sully, take it away.
Give you something simple now. So Mike, sorry, give me a football question.
Many have gotten to know and love Terry Bradshaw from his many roles after his playing days ended. What hasn't this Louisiana native done? We are talking about one of the greatest quarterbacks in the history of the game. He played 14 NFL seasons, all with the Steelers. He led Pittsburgh to 4 Super Bowl victories in 6 seasons. Terry has always been at his best when the lights are the brightest. In 4 Super Bowl appearances, he threw for 932 yards and 9 touchdowns. In 19 career postseason games, he completed 261 passes for almost 4,000 yards. A proud Louisiana Tech grad, he went into the College Hall of Fame in 1996. He became a Pro Football Hall of Famer back in 1989. Today, a first for the first pick in the 1970 Pro Football Draft, Terry Bradshaw is a guest of the Little Rock Touchdown Club.
Thank you very much.
All right, let's check that mic. Check. Hold on. There's one.
Well, I heard you. I tell Howie Long, I'm retaining a little fluid right now. He goes, Lake Mead.
Lake Mead.
But I promise you, that ever since I got rheumatoid arthritis, my you-know-what got really big. And I've had a heck of a time getting my weight off. That's my excuse. But finally, I got it going now. My wife got me on the keto diet. I don't know if that's any good, but so far I've only gained 4 pounds.
But Terry, you got to acknowledge Lowry, your buddy Lowry, that you've known now for 5-6 years.
I shouldn't have told him that I've been talking to you while you were operating. That is like HIPAA rule, right?
But so it's 2016. You got the referral that you needed to come here, right?
I called James Andrews down, and world-renowned Dr. Andrews. I said, I've had my knee scoped. As a matter of fact, he scoped it, and I said, I can't go anymore with this pain. I said, I need to get it replaced. Who do I go see? He says, there's only 2 guys I'd let touch me. One was in Chicago, and I don't even know who he is. You know who he is. And the other's Dr. Lowry Barnes in Little Rock. I said, would you call him and tell him I'm going to call him so he will know it's me? I called a guy the other day trying to buy a plane, and he won't call me back. Be all right, Doc, if I use your name, and maybe he'll... So anyway, we hooked up, and they sent the MRIs and everything. He had all the information he needed. Yeah, it's got to be replaced. And I flew in on a Monday? What?
Surgery Tuesday.
Yeah, Tuesday morning.
And then listen how tough Terry is. He has a knee replacement on Tuesday, and then Friday you're in L.A. hosting a big party for 150 production folks.
Right, I throw a party every year for the Fox crew, and Dr. Barton. As a matter of fact, you knew, because I told you, look, you can operate on Tuesday, but I'm on a plane Friday. I throw a party for Fox. And he says, okay, that won't be a problem. We're fine. And then come after surgery, he says, I can't let you fly out to L.A. That's crazy. I said, well, I'm going. He said, well, I'm going with you. So we pressure wrap whatever you do on that knee, and I think they loaded me up with a crane somehow or another. I don't know how I got on that plane. And away we went.
Yeah, you obviously, it talks about your toughness. And, one of the things, I was going back and looking at all your career, which is amazing. But I guess you got that toughness. Your dad was a military man, and your mom was tough too. And that was in your household being tough, I guess.
Well, the thing is, for this young man that's going, where's that young athlete? Going to Northwestern. How close were you going to Louisiana Tech, brother? I know. It was a tough decision, wasn't it? We got an engineering course there that's pretty good. Good luck at Northwestern. Hogs couldn't get this guy.
I don't know. He's a good one.
Yeah. And you let him get away.
We did.
What was the question?
Toughness. Well, you got
I'm 73 now.
73,
so
yes.
if I forget something, I can say what's the question.
Right.
Not worry about
the
it.
toughness you got maybe growing up.
I think it took me so long to get into the starting lineup. All the way up to, I started 1 year of football, and that was my senior year in high school. And having sat on the bench for all those years, there was just no way I was ever coming out. And I've always, been a tough kid. I mean, I got that just growing up. But football-wise, I wasn't giving it up. I got in there, and I'm not coming out. Let's
talk about that real quick. For those who don't know, I think obviously you're born in Louisiana. I grew up a little bit in Iowa, but came back and played high school ball at Woodland in Louisiana. I sweat.
Oh,
I sweat. I sweat. Yeah.
Sweat.
Yeah. That's what we do here.
I don't know. That's
what we do here. Don't worry about me.
Oh, I'm not.
Listen, I'm just getting started.
Oh, no.
So
I mean, really, you're going to just pour out?
I'm going to pour. Yeah, listen.
All right.
I like you. I need to drop a few.
No,
no.
What do you mean? No,
we both do.
You can't say that. I'm a guest.
So here's the crazy thing. I was looking at, this guy was the #1 javelin thrower.
A lot of money
America.
in that.
Yeah. I mean, look. So I find this picture, and if it's not just, that's not just you in the javelin. That's Michael Landon. How the heck is Michael Landon with you with a javelin
Michael
picture?
Landon went to USC on a track scholarship and went into broadcast journalism. And he was obviously one of the stars of Bonanza. And Bonanza, in the off-season, or their off-season of promoting the show coming up, they toured in the rodeos, back when the rodeos went to all the arenas. And so they were there, and they found out that I was the national javelin record holder, and so they found out that he threw the javelin, and they asked him, would you take a picture with me?
It's remarkable.
So he came out to Woodlawn High School, and we took that picture.
Yeah, you were, it sort of gave an indication of what kind of arm strength you had for football. Obviously, at one time I think I read where you threw a football 84 yards in the air. I think.
That's the furthest I've ever thrown it.
Yeah.
And I was trying to see how far I could throw it.
But the javelin, that sort of gave everybody an indication. Mm-hmm. And now this high school, this Woodlawn High School, is it Woodland or Woodlawn?
Woodlawn.
Yeah, so you leave, and look who the quarterback was that followed Terry Bradshaw.
I think he was a hog.
He was a hog.
Yeah.
Can you get the picture up there, Matt? Let's see here. Look at there. Anybody recognize that?
Joe Ferguson.
Joe Ferguson. How about that? 2 back-to-back quarterbats, Terry.
Second-round pick of Buffalo.
Yeah, had an unbelievable pro career.
He did. Came up here and just stayed in Fayetteville. As a matter of fact, he's still there.
Yeah, good, and great guy.
Really good guy.
And a great arm, too, obviously.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you go to Louisiana Tech. And I was wondering, too, how'd you wind up at Louisiana Tech?
I couldn't get into LSU. Okay. I mean, I'm not going to BS it here. I'm not dumb or anything, but I'm just not really good at taking a test that means something.
Right.
And I took the ACT test. You probably, 31? 30?
Yeah.
No. And I made 15. And so they said, wow, if you can write your name, you can do 15. And I didn't want to go to LSU, and so they LSU got me tutoring up at Centenary College, and nobody knew this. I didn't want to go to LSU. That was the problem. Trey Prather was a parade All-American, graduated the year before out of Woodlawn, went to LSU. Well, I sat on the bench behind him in Woodlawn. And he got killed in Vietnam. How could I go to LSU? My confidence went exactly way up here at the time. But that's just an excuse for why I flunked it. I just flat not good at those stupid things.
Another.
I did pass the SAT. Let me make that perfectly clear.
And
I did graduate with a 3.96 GPA.
There we go. Outstanding. Good GPA.
So I want y'all, it's cumulative now. Boom.
And then again, everybody's heard the story that who you backed up at when you went to Louisiana Tech. You showed the picture. This is, see if you recognize the face. Everybody know who that is?
They can't recognize that face.
Show the next picture, Matt. Yeah,
show the one now.
There you go.
There he is.
Yeah.
There he is. Phil Robertson.
How crazy is that? Another interesting story for you.
It is crazy. Joe I was the head coach at Tech. The stadium's named after him. He was kind of the father of the West Coast offense. And all these pro teams would send their coaching staff to our practices to watch and to learn how we ran our offense. He was a brilliant offensive mind. And Phil was there. He was 6'2", 185. He knew the offense, and it took me a while to learn the offense, but we lost every game. I didn't play at all my freshman year. And then my last game of the season, we'd not won a game. And so they benched Phil and said, yours. And I lit it up. And,
you did. Yeah, matter of fact.
We beat a tough Southeastern team, by the way. You did tough team, tough. And we beat them again this week, too. You didn't mention anything about my school. You got all them Arkansas schools. Well, I've never seen so many schools in my life. Never even heard of them.
Well, show up, Matt. Listen, there you go. There's the Blonde Bomber. You had two names.
Phil Robertson nicknamed me the Blonde Bomber.
Phil did that.
Yes.
The Blonde Bomber, and I heard the Rifleman, too. I'd heard both those nicknames.
Yeah, that was Jim Willis called me Chucky and the Rifleman.
Yes.
So, yeah, I don't know.
For those that don't know, I mean, you were, number one and number two passing in America both those last 2 years, and
I was right up there.
Yeah, you were right up there. Yes, you were. You were the MVP of the Senior Bowl, so obviously number one overall pick, and with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Right.
And that was the beginning of an unbelievable dynasty.
Well, it ended up well. It did not start well, but it ended up well.
4 Super Bowls. I've seen everything you've done now. So first quarterback to win 3 Super Bowls. First quarterback to win 4 Super Bowls. First quarterback to win back-to-back twice. NFL Hall of Fame. One of our good buddies, Cliff Harris, was going to be here today.
Oh,
and we've got a message from Cliff.
I would have loved to have
screen
seen
back
Cliff.
here to see. Yeah, Cliff wanted to be here, but he sent you this little
message. Only
message.
imagine.
Yeah.
Hey, Terry, Cliff Harris here. Man, I would sure like to be there in Little Rock today to hear your talk. I know you'd say a lot of nice things about me. Man, I have nightmares about those Super Bowls. You beat us in 2 Super Bowls. The Steelers beat us in 2 Super Bowls, and you were a big part of it. I just think every time that I have that dream, I think I'm just making it over Rocky Blyer, who was blocking me during that time and flying in and knocking your pass down. Well, the pass that you were throwing to Lynn Swan, that was really, you got pass interference on. But I really would like to be there today because I know you got great stories. You were, I'm going to have to say, you were the best quarterback that I faced during my career with the Dallas Cowboys. So I wish you the best of luck. I do have one other thing to say. Go Hogs, go. Glenn, I watched that game last night, and we were so great. It was such an awesome game to beat Texas. And I'll look forward to being back in Arkansas and being with you guys at lunch again. And Terry, come to Dallas. I'll buy your lunch. I'll buy it. The last time we had lunch, you had to buy it, but I'm going to buy it this time. Okay. See you soon, buddy.
How about that, Cliff Harris, everybody?
That's
What a
nice.
great guy.
There's a,
Look at that picture, Terry.
I know,
Look at
that's
that cliff.
nice.
We're going over Rocky right there. Boy.
there's a story, and Dallas ran what's called a key coverage. And I won't get into all this, but it was a complicated coverage. And the safeties would line up almost four across, look like corners were off. Look like it's going to be what y'all know is cover two. Two deep safeties, corners outside. And so we were on the 22-yard line, and I had a play called. And when I got up, we had one audible set up. It was a run audible versus the blitz. And when I got up to the line of scrimmage, the corners were in press, looking straight at Swan and Stallworth, which if they're staring at, they're not playing zone, that's for sure. They're playing man. I went, ha-ha. They're going to play man. But the safeties were in cover two. Could be two man. So I got under, and they started cheating over Cliff and Charlie Waters. And I said, and then they started coming up. And I went, man, they're coming after us. So I went Brown 93, which is a tackle trap, which is great against the splits they had. Well, when I made the audible, the very next sound out of my mouth is when the ball is snapped. They were trying to play games with me, and they weren't blitzing at all. But I went so quick on the count, it caught them out of position, and they ended up running into the umpire, and that's why Franco scored on the 22-yarder. Wow. And it was a bad play against a great defense that got caught trying to outsmart me.
Right.
And they did. It's just I didn't know any better.
Well, of course, you went in your first year of eligibility in the NFL Hall of Fame. Cliff obviously waited a long time.
He did. Should have been a long time ago. But hey, listen, going into the Hall of Fame is an incredible honor. But there's an athlete playing in any sport, careers built around I'm going to the Hall of Fame, going to the Hall of Fame. We don't think like that. And
right.
Then when you get through playing, and they say you're going on the first ballot, still. You just don't put much into it.
Different kind of game. I heard another interview that you were talking about just how, the game is so much different when it comes to quarterback play and how you're protected compared to where you used to.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's all passing. Remember the old AFL in the 60s and George Blanda and, God, all those old quarterbacks throwing for 300-400 yards, some 500 yards, throwing it 40-50 times a game. Lenny Dawson with the Chiefs. And they threw it so much because the pass was so exciting, and NBC was their network covering all the AFL. And so by them being so different than the NFL, which was all run, throw when you had to get a first down, run, really boring. And so there became the merger. We are now back to the OAFL and the NFL. It's all. I think the game last night, I didn't watch it, but I know they had, maybe close to 90 passes thrown in that game. I mean, right. I made the Pro Bowl one year throwing for 1,800 yards. Wow. 1,800 yards. I mean, Dak Prescott got hurt in the fourth game, and he had over 1,600 yards.
Do you like the protections for the quarterback that they have now versus what you had to deal with?
Yes, I'm for protecting anybody. It's just that I'm also a little bit old school. Don't start telling me how great these guys are and better than all the rest of us when their ass is sitting there not having to get their head slammed against the ground and forearms to the head. I get a little defensive when I hear, I put my arm around Tom Brady. He's a mush body. Wow. And his wife, she ain't much either.
Wow.
Oh, no. Oh, you can laugh all you want. When my wife puts her teeth in, she's a knockout. You hog people know about that, don't you? Hey, what's said here stays here now. I can get in a lot of trouble.
You know, it's amazing. You know, you guys are, winning Super Bowls left and right. And then, I think in '76, showing how talented you are, you cover a song. You put out an album. And,
I know. It's crazy.
Yeah, So Lonesome I Could Cry, right?
I know, yeah.
It charts number 17 on the Billboard Country Music Charts,
Yeah.
1976, right?
I know. Go figure. It took, I had a bet with a guy and that I could get an album. I could cut an album. It was for $100. But he didn't know I knew Jerry Kennedy, who was the producer and head of Mercury Records. And I called Jerry, said, hey, man, I got a $100 bet with a guy named Tillman Franks. I got to do an album, though. He says, okay, well, when you want to do it? So I flew up to Nashville on a Wednesday. He had the songs written out for me. We sang them in his living room because he's a great guitar player, and it was just terrible. So I was no singer, and I'm singing now, but I couldn't sing then. And then I got to I'm So Lonesome I Could Cry, and I actually sang it pretty good. And so it did really well. The great thing about doing that album was I opened for Ronnie Millsap. Yeah, that's right. I recorded with Glenn Campbell.
Arkansas guy.
The really great thing about it was I opened for Marty Robbins for a whole week on the West Coast. Wow. Yeah. And that was the highlight. I mean, I'd played golf with Glenn, knew Glenn, but Marty was one of my heroes. And to sing with him, man, that was just
So you're doing this again. You're playing ball till '83. So you're doing this while you're playing ball.
Right.
Yeah. So
right.
I mean, so you're having fun.
Right.
I know you did a gospel album too.
Right.
With Jay Cass, right?
I did.
Matter of fact, there it is, right there.
Yeah, I did. You guys probably don't know this, but that is a toupee. He had. Jay Cass was my gospel hero.
Yes.
I loved The Statesman. I grew up listening to The Statesman, and I had a chance to do that album with Jake, and then I did another one called Until You, which actually was nominated for a Dove Award, and then I did another.
How about that?
I did another one and it was also nominated for a Dove Award, and then I didn't do them anymore.
You remember? I'm going to throw one at you just
Okay.
because it was on your album. One of my favorites. What a Day That Will Be.
Yeah.
What a day that will be.
Are you going to sing it?
Come on.
No.
What
a day that will be when my Jesus I shall see. When I look upon his face, the one who saved me by his grace, and he takes me by the hand and leads me to the promised land. What a day, glorious day that will be.
Hey, how about See? How about that?
Oh, man.
I knew you'd probably remember that.
Yeah.
And so, like, you sang twice with Paul McCartney. It had to be a bucket list.
That was cool.
So I just with my bucket list, I just sang with Terry Bradshaw. Well, how about that?
That's a big one right there now. I did. I hooked up with the Isaacs, and I used to go out to churches and sing with the Isaacs. And then I'd been invited so many times to do the Grand Ole Opry, and I was just scared of it. And so they said, you got to do it. We'll back you up. You sing it. So I went out, and Glenn Fry had just passed away of the Eagles. And I went out and I sang, that's a song by Glenn Fry. And I thought, wow, this is so cool. I did it. I'm so proud of myself.
Yeah.
And then they said, well, you got to come back again. So I went back again, and now I sang, I sang 2 songs. And the place was going crazy, and I'm saying, this is good stuff right here. So now I have done the Opry 4 times. I did it with my daughter about 3 months ago, and I'll just keep on going back and doing it.
You obviously, you can sing, and then all of a sudden, in '84, you start a broadcasting career. We had Ron Lundquist here 2 weeks ago, and he talked about his first broadcast with you, and next thing you know, there's a Willie Anderson from Colby University making tackles that you came up with. You just made him up out of the blue.
Well, first of all, Vern and I were our first year together, and when you're a new team, broadcast team they call it, you get the worst games. Well, I figured that out real quickly, and I used to tell him we're going to a 7-Eleven and maybe a Walmart store. That's the only place anybody's seeing us. So I just got bored. And so Willie Anderson showed up. And I had that boy. He made a lot of tackles. Yes.
Vern loves telling that story.
Yeah, I know. And did Vern tell you they called me in
No,
on
he
it?
acted like you were never caught.
Oh, no, I got caught. But we did get a sweatshirt and a T-shirt from Colby College. There really is a Colby College. I didn't know that.
Emmy Award winning. Obviously, you've been doing that for a long time. And, of course, the other part of your career, you start doing movies there in the late 70s. And, Hooper, Cannonball Run, Smokey and the Bandit, before we get to Failure to Launch. But, all of a sudden, you're showing up with, matter of fact, there's Burt Reynolds right there. A great picture of you and Burt.
Oh, yeah.
And, nice. You have to be looking. There's Farrah Fawcett. There's,
I'm just digging me some Farrah Fawcett now.
So, for those who maybe didn't remember, this is a great scene. Of course, we love Burt.
Yeah.
We love Burt here. Obviously, there's a connection with the evening show that I'll get to in a minute. But this is from Hooper. Let's show the scene with Terry Bradshaw and Burt Reynolds here.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 6 against 12. 7. 7 against 12. Well, looks like it's a little uneven. You guys will have to go back to Houston and get some more guys.
That's How about my toupee? Does it look good?
We may be in trouble. We are definitely in trouble.
So that's got to be. How about that? Give it up for Terry Bradshaw on that night.
Hey, listen, folks. I am no actor. I have no desire to be an actor. I just wanted to meet Burt.
Yeah.
And he had made fun of me the night before Super Bowl 10 against the Cowboys. And NBC had they did a show, and he did a spoof on me and just, my intelligence and dumb and so on and so forth. And, of course, we beat Dallas, and then I go out and I'm touring. I'm back singing, and I'm at the Palomino Club in Los Angeles, and in comes this horseshoe of carnations, a beautiful letter from Burt apologizing how embarrassed he was. He had to do that. NBC, he claims he didn't want it. He tried to talk himself out of it. If he really wanted not to do that, he's Burt Reynolds, the #1 actor. And so anyway, I finished the show late that morning, and then his agent is David Gershenson. His manager is David Gershenson. The very next day, when I hooked up with David Gershenson, he became my manager for 40 years. He actually died yesterday afternoon in Los Angeles. And so we went out. I met Burt Reynolds, and he's the sweetest man in the world if you know him. He comes out and he hugged me and apologized, and he hugged me and he kissed me on the cheek, and he called Hal Needham over, the director, and said, I want him in this movie. Where's the role? Put him in the movie. We don't have a role. Yeah, we're going to find a role. Find a role for him, and that's the role that they got right there. And I ended up doing Evening Shade twice.
That was my next thing. You did three. You did three shows.
Was it 3 of them?
Yes.
And then I did 3 more movies with him. I used to go out with him.
Dinah Shore hung out at Dinah Shore's house.
Used to go over to her house and have dinner, and Burt and I, we just were buddies.
Well, this is what I reached out to Harry Thomason.
Yeah.
Who was he's a former Razorback. Yeah, actually, he stayed at the locker room right down from Lance Allworth, if you can believe that, back in the day.
The Bambi.
So this is what he said about you. And I told him Terry was coming to speak. Love Terry Bradshaw. and actually a very good actor. Said, beloved by everyone, including Burt, who didn't care for that many people. That's what Harry said. He goes, Terry was funny, kind, and gracious, and he was from my part of the country. He said, Burt Reynolds and I joked one time, if we were going to war, we would want Terry Bradshaw on our side. How about that?
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice.
Yeah.
I never found, of course, you know, I never saw anything but the good side of Burt. And he and I were just buddies, just like you and I right here. Me and Burt, we just went everywhere and did everything together. It was no big deal.
I was inspired. I had, when I played in the early 80s, I had the Burt Reynolds mustache. Because
did
of Burt.
you?
Yeah, I did. Listen,
yeah.
That was
did you
big.
have the...
No, I did not have that. No, I did not have that.
No, you didn't have the laugh? You got to have the laugh.
You know, the other thing, you've written 5 books.
I did. Well, I only writ. The last 2 I wrote.
Yes.
The first 3 were outlines.
Yes.
And you talk to a guy and he writes it, and that's how that went. The last 2, I actually dictated the whole book, all the books, everything in that book, and then David Fisher, his job was just to organize it, and I didn't want any more of that. You know, somebody else give you $50,000 and they go do the book, and then you're sitting there going, ooh, that's not me. That's not how I did. So the last 2 I took over.
Well, you know, after reading all the things that Terry's done, you know, then started watching the show, the Bradshaw Bunch. Now
Bradshaw Bunch.
The Bradshaw Bunch.
Oh,
Put the picture up there. So this is your wife and 3 daughters.
Right.
And that's what the show revolves around. And I got to tell you, Terry, after reading about all the things you've done, you've heard it here today, you know, it's exhausting, an amazing life. An amazing life. I mean, you got to look at it and go, man, I am blessed. Watching this show, it's like, man, this is where I want to be. I've worked all that time to get to where I'm enjoying being around my family, got my grandkids here, kicking back on my ranch, got my horses, and that at age 73, I'm good.
Well, I feel like Billy Graham once said that the minute you retire is the next day you start dying. I never forgot that, and I just don't see any reason to retire. I mean, I do all day Sunday, then I get on a plane and do Vegas Sunday night after the show. In fact, my boss at Fox called yesterday, and he's really upset that I'm doing the show. And I think on the Fox pregame show on Sunday, I think I did all right, you know.
Yes.
And so, did y'all watch Fox pregame?
We did. Yeah, you got to.
I had a great line when the guys were talking about they sealed the deal with Matthew Stafford in the hot tub. Got my attention. So I said, well, a lot of good business can be done in a hot tub.
Wow. Yes, and you didn't hold back about Aaron Rodgers.
No, if I feel strongly about something, I have no problem saying it. Actually, I have been told by our network to keep my comments kind of mellow because we're going to need certain people throughout the year, because if they do something wrong, I think my job to all of you, you know I'm going to tell you exactly how I feel about it. I'm not jealous. They say, oh, you're jealous because of all the money. Well, I would like to make $35. You paid my ass $35 million. I'd have played better than Aaron Rodgers played Sunday. So, I mean, I wouldn't have mailed it in, I can promise you that. So I get it. Look, I get it. Because after I said what I said about him, they said, well, there goes your interview with him. And I'm smarter than everybody else. See, I don't want to go to Green Bay and do an interview. But I think you have to be, you can't, my job at Fox is I obviously try to entertain people. And I try to do it sometimes, in a comical way if I can. But for the most part, you have to be honest. Yeah. I really do. I think if it's something seriously is happening, you have to be honest, and the viewer appreciates that. They know I'm going to tell them how I feel. Now, when it becomes a social issue or something like that, you'll notice Fox always takes me out. It's always those that Howie went to Villanova, so he's automatically smarter than me, so he gets to talk about it. Kurt went to school on academic degree. So he gets to talk about it. And Jimmy's got his master's. He's a hog, isn't he a hog?
Oh, yeah.
Jimmy's a hog.
Yeah.
So then Michael and I, we get kicked out. We don't, which is fine with me. It just gives me a break.
You know, you're talking about your honesty. I don't know how many people remembered. I gave you great kudos at, I don't know how many years ago. You talked about depression and anxiety and the things that you were dealing with.
It's real.
Yeah, and that sometimes, you at that time, I think when you did it, not a lot of athletes were willing to do that, and you did.
Well, I was worried about when I was asked to do. I don't even know how they found out that I had depression. So when they contacted me, I actually said no, and I'll tell you why. Because perception is if you are dealing with depression, it's a weakness. It's a human weakness. And that is not by choice. That's just the way you're made. And once I understood depression and how it worked through 3 years of therapy, I might add, I did have the strength and I'm not going to say courage. It's not courageous. It's just say it and then let people people basically are cruel anyway. They're just, they're mean. And so when I finally said, okay, look, you know what, maybe I can do something. Now, one of the reasons I didn't want to say anything is because celebrities or athletes are always talking about, well, I'm dealing with depression, and here's my picture, and I was drinking and taking, their mug shots, and well, I'm dealing with depression, and it's like that's their crutch for the excuses that they made a bad choice. I didn't want that, and that was the one thing that held me back on it. Was I don't want people to look at me as like I'm being paid money for this. But I finally went on. I finally did it and did toured a little bit, not much, 2 or 3, all just talking to doctors, and kind of left it at that. Now the funny thing about men are the worst. I'm happily married now. I've got a great wife, but I used to do my own shopping, my own cooking. Now I don't have to do that, which is great. Hey, listen, if you're single and you just don't want to shop and cook anymore, just get married. But I'm on the bean aisle.
Yes.
And this guy, I sense him. I sense him. He's on my right, and I'm looking. I'm doing this thing called Bradshaw beans. It's you've had it. You've had my beans.
Yes.
And so I'm getting my 3 beans, and this guy, I'm priffing him. And I see it sliding closer and closer. And finally, I just turned, he's right there. I said, hey, how you doing? He said, he leans over and he says, hey, man, really do appreciate your honesty on depression. I'm dealing with depression, too. I just wanted to say thank you. I said, okay.
I said, okay.
That's how men do it.
Yeah.
And so that's unfortunately, that's unfortunate. We should be open about what we're dealing with, and you got loved ones around you and that support you. I mean, my wife, even to this day, she knows when I'm having my moment. And she will leave me alone because I'll work through the few hours, and then eventually she comes out and, takes a couple of days, and then I'm good. So it does come, does go. I know what brings it on most of the time, and you live with it. And I don't take medicine. I took medicine for years. I take so much stuff now, but if I would need to continue taking it, I would. But I thought the therapy was the best thing for me.
And you got, you mentioned beans, Bradshaw beans. You got Bradshaw bourbon.
Bradshaw bourbon. I highly encourage everybody, except for the young man going to Northwestern. You leave that bourbon alone. But we started the bourbon company 4 years ago. We developed the taste, the blend, and I did it myself with the help of Ryan McElveen. And it took us 15 months to come up with the blend and the taste. And I knew the bottle was going to be Gunsmoke bottle, long neck, round, smooth. I wanted to keep it simple, no gaudy celebrity stuff, just Bradshaw bourbon. And been traveling around the country, promoting it, selling it, trying to sell it. You go to Texas, I can't sell a lot in Texas. For some reason, they don't forgive there very well.
Yeah, there's some folks praying for you, right?
Packing home Saturday night. I appreciate what y'all did to them Saturday night. Yeah. That is one serious butt whooping.
It was.
Yeah.
Last thing before we let you go, I mentioned.
Where am I got
You got to see this. Listen, Dr. Barnes got to look at this other knee.
You got surgery again today? You through?
No, you're next. That's why this.
Oh yeah, I am next.
You're next. I always tell my buddies who have kids. I don't have kids. I said, the biggest respect I have is how somebody raises his kids. That's one of the things I got to see. After watching 5 hours. 5 hours of the Bradshaw. Yeah,
girls.
And your girls love you, and they said you're the biggest encourager. I got to think of all these things you've accomplished. That's got to be the ultimate compliment, though, is to have those girls say how special you are to them.
Well, you never know if you're raising them right. I think everybody in here that has children, it's just here we go. Your nature takes over, and you call your mom, your dad, and you try to, or they'll volunteer for sure on how to take care of the kids. That I've learned, but it was my way of raising my kids was with lots of love. I only had to spank them once, and I did, and that left a mark, and I never had to do that again. My voice was plenty of pain, but you give them a lot of direction. I kept them in church. Now none of them go to church, but I had them in church. One of them got saved when I spoke. If you're Christians in here, I don't mean to touch on anybody here. They're good girls. I learned the difference between dad and daddy. Dad is, when you call them, hey, Dad, how you doing? They don't really want to talk to you. Daddy, I need some money. Billy Ray broke up with me.
Right.
So I've been the dad and daddy thing. The funniest thing about them, I remember I traveled so much. I came home and my ex-wife was going to law school, and so on the weekends I had them. And so I remember after about 3 or 4 weeks of all day Saturday, hitting everything from ballet to soccer to t-ball to voice, and I mean, enough of this. I got no time for me. Yeah. So I sat them down. They were 4 and 6. They can understand when they're 4 and 6. I set them down in the kitchen, Aaron and Rachel. Lacey is stepdaughter. And Aaron had a lip. If you talk with her tongue stuck out of her mouth like this. I remember I came home and my brother showed up in a yellow Mercedes-Benz diesel. And she said, "Hey, Uncle Craig, is that a diesel?" Just cute to me. Maybe not y'all, but cute. So anyway, so I sat them down at breakfast, and I said, "Girls, I got to make a decision here. I just cannot go to 10 events on Saturday. I just can't do that anymore. Matter of fact, I don't want to do it. I want you to narrow it down to one thing. What is the one thing you want to do right now, this morning, that you don't want to give up? One thing, and that's what we're going to do." So Rachel, my 6-year-old, she says, "Dad, I want to play the piano, and I want to learn how to write music and sing. I'm going to get you a piano teacher and get you a voice teacher, and from this day forward, you are a piano playing singer." And she's had a #1 hit song. She's written 3 top 5 country records. She's coming back. Her husband got killed, and she took 5 years off, but she's back, and she's doing great. And she sings with me when we travel, and her life is, she's a happy girl, but music, and she's a heck of a writer. And she's never strayed from that. Now, the 4-year-old said, "I want to ride horses." You want to what? "I want to ride horses." So you want to ride horses? I said, "All right, you want to ride horses? I'm going to get you a horse and a trainer, and you're a horse rider from this day forward." And right now, to this day, she's won 19 world titles and never backed down from riding horses. And a great horseman today.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that's how you do it, but that's the way I did it. And I just believe you can't love them enough. You just love, total encouragement. And That's what I do.
Looks like you're down there. Have you loved Terry Bradshaw today? Let's hear it for
Thank
Terry
you.
Bradshaw.
Thank you, folks.
So Lowry, we're going to let you and Terry. Why don't you go ahead and go ahead and get out now?
We're going to the clinic.
You headed. Listen, don't start by the Capitol Bar.
No. Thanks, folks.
Give
Good
it up
luck
for
to the
Terry
Hall.
Bradshaw, everybody. Great job, Terry. Boy, that was outstanding, buddy. Thank you, brother. Yeah, thank you so much. I think I told
Thanks, Terry. Good job. That's good leadership. Yep.
We've already